What up, y'all? It's your boy Body Bags. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe and comment. Make sure you interact in these videos. So I honestly never thought I would have, but I also did say, so everybody's might have seen some of my videos. I try to say I'm gonna reach all type of content, all type of discussions. I never thought I would talk about a topic like this because I'm not into politics, just to keep it 100, right? Just not my thing. The way I grew up in the inner city, and it ain't something that anybody really cares about, right? So, I see, I did make a quick little story about it, about Charlie Clark, and I've done some messed up things in life to where, who am I to speak? But people really bugging with laughing at the situation on the internet. And honestly, I don't wish nobody losing their jobs and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, there's got to be some type of repercussions, right? And white people, well, I think maybe all people, but especially white people, they feel like they're entitled just to say whatever they want to say, right? And, I'm Polish and Jordanian, so, I'm part white, so I think I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I see it all the time with yous. Even though I grew up in the inner city, I moved out to the suburbs as I got older, and it's everything what people say they are. It's a lot of them are just, they think they're entitled. They can say whatever they want, and they think there's not going to be any repercussions. And I've had, honestly, in the past year, the most Karen acting situations I've never had it before I moved out here. And it's honestly out of control. You know what it is they just never had somebody punch them dead in their mouth. They didn't grow up where you had to fight, where you had to survive when you live in the inner city. They just sit there and look at us like we're just all pieces of shit. But they don't realize that we're fighting to live every single day. Going from grammar school, being in school, you got to protect yourself. Just walking, you got to protect yourself. Especially if you're from a neighborhood, that shit makes it even worse. But see, then entitled people sit there and try to down us and talk crazy about us, and they just don't get it. They don't understand. They watch rap videos or see something, they think they know what's going on, and they don't. They don't. And the crazy shit is it's a lot of the suburban white kids that are like the ones sitting there complaining about street signs, about the names, and change this, like Washington Redskins. Like, it's all white people doing that weird shit, and a lot of them haven't been through nothing in their life. But to get back to the Charlie Kirk thing, is that he was good at debating. He had his opinions, and honestly, everybody in this world need to realize that everybody has an opinion. Everybody, right? And shit don't make you right because a bunch of people agree, right? But again, everybody has an opinion. You shouldn't sit there, belittle people because of what they think. Some people just, it's all they know. Honestly, it's all they know. But yeah, once you get to a certain age, you should educate yourself to know how to work around a certain scenario, to be honest with you. But I would have loved to had a couple of debates with that man. He was very intelligent. The way he spoke, everything, the way he presented himself. That he's a man. He was a man, and he stood on what he believed too. It's not like Some of them things were borderline with what he was saying, but he stood on what he believed and how he felt about it, right? Going from, the DEI, he was very strong about that from what I've seen. And I understand that too, though. Like, anybody that's put in a position, you want the best qualified person. End of story. It shouldn't be about a race or anything like that, right? But at the same time, too, I can understand, the issues in the workforce. Like, I know what I got to deal with. So just imagine a minority at the end of the day. Yes, I'm part Arabic and all, but, when a lot of people look at me, they just see a white guy. They don't even know that I grew up in the hood. None of that. You know what I mean? Well, honestly, looking at me, you could tell, but, people just pass judgment. And because I could sit there and I could tell you how many times I've lost a job, and I grew up a certain way. I got money, right? But,